Investor Connect podcast program. This is Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of the show, in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, private equity, family offices, and many other investor groups for startups and growth companies. I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you for joining us. Well, hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today I'm here with Mick Connors of Anytime Pediatrics. Mick, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Hall, I appreciate the invitation. It's nice to talk with you.
Great. Thanks for joining us here. And so tell us, what was your background before joining Anytime Pediatrics?
My background's in pediatric emergency medicine. I was actually inspired by my brothers passing away before I was born from pediatric cancer that really inspired me to go into medicine. So it's been kind of a lifelong passion, and certainly pediatrics has as well. But really what I've seen in my career in pediatric emergency medicine is really more and more fragmentation of care, and kids go into lots of different varieties of healthcare opportunities. And so when I looked at Anytime Pediatrics and developed that concept, it was really about us being the connector and how to get kids or patients or families connected to the right care at the right time.
Very good. Well, so there's a lot of investors that listen to this show, and we always like to give them some advice. And so what's your advice for those who want to invest in the healthcare space? What should they be looking for?
Yeah, well, I think the future of the healthcare space, especially around telemedicine, but even if you look at the healthcare space in general, everybody's looking at ways to save costs. So I think the more we can invest in things that are going to be cost savers is important. I would encourage the investors to look at the long track record of the medical home, the primary care practices, because really the data is all there that if we can connect patients with their primary care provider and not fragment care, that's really the only thing that's ever been shown to lower healthcare costs. So our hope is investors will see that opportunity through solutions like Anytime Pediatrics, where really we're trying to create that hub back to the primary care provider and then be able to connect them with all the important services that they need.
From an investing point of view, you're talking about fragmentation, and my question usually goes to how is the industry evolving, but it sounds like it's becoming more fragmented as it goes forward. Is that how the industry is shaping up?
You're exactly right, Hall. I mean, I think what you see is a lot of investment in a variety of, whether it's direct-to-consumer telemedicine or employer-based health clinics or urgent cares or different things that are kind of feeding the consumerism of medicine, which is incredibly important. We need to get certainly innovations that match what the patients want, but we also need to have innovation that matches what they need. And I think that's the biggest challenge that we face as a healthcare system right now is parents, for example. Most investors can relate to having a sick kid, and what do you do in the middle of the night? Where do you go? What are all those options? And not only what are all the options, but what's not only convenient, but what's the best place for you to go? So I think in the healthcare market, we need to focus more on what's needed as much as what's wanted. And I think that's where quality will bubble up. And again, bringing back in the primary care provider and those connections will really prove again to be the only solution that truly works.
So healthcare cost-wise is growing dramatically, but for this particular sector, what do you say is the growth rate you see in it now?
For telemedicine technology, it's growing, exponentially. I mean, I think depending on how you look at it and which report you're reading, it's in the $25 to $30 billion range in the next few years. And I think, again, it goes back to where those dollars will be invested and will they have the long-term impact that we need out of the technology. So I think that's primarily the most important part of where we see it. But certainly artificial intelligence, remote patient monitoring, telemedicine, all these technologies are really going to impact healthcare going forward.
So how many companies are engaged in this telemedicine sector?
That's a hard number to pick. There's hundreds of different nuances around telemedicine overall from every aspect. There's very few. Actually, we are the only one that I'm aware of that's really focused in on the medical home, and especially the medical home related to pediatrics, and really trying to drive that care. Really what we're trying to drive is the continuity of care. So we recognize that pediatricians can take care of certain things. They need to be integrated with urgent care and the children's hospitals. It's really driving that continuum that we find important and is unique really to what our solution is and the market we're trying to match.
And so what are the challenges in this space with telemedicine?
I think the primary challenge is certainly adoption. Even if you look at the companies with lots and lots of market cap, Teladoc being one, but certainly others that are out there in the market, is they have a real challenge with how they grow adoption of telemedicine. So I think that's probably the biggest thing is what solution is really going to enable patients to utilize it, benefit from it, and show the long-term outcomes that they need. And so I think that's the biggest challenge. So we need adoption on the patient side. which is growing, and there's lots of interest there. And we need even more adoption on the provider side, the healthcare provider, who are beginning to recognize the advantages of telemedicine.
Well, it sounds like a great solution. Why are people slow to adopt it? Is there reimbursement issues? Are there technology issues? Or are there just use case issues? People don't know how to use it at this point? Or what do you think is holding it back?
Well, of course, our investment theory and theory in Anytime Pediatrics is what's holding it back is that even folks, millennials, want to have a relationship. So it's very hard to convince someone to go onto a platform to see a random provider that they don't know. They're not sure where they're at. They're not connected to a local healthcare system. So our feeling is that adoption will really grow from relationships. And so by the primary care providers suggesting they go on telemedicine, that they trust the care that's delivered via telemedicine, that the patients can trust that care, whether it's with them or with one of their trusted partners or urgent cares or local hospitals. We think that community, that neighborhood, and those relationships are really are what's important and why adoption is currently failing in many ways.
So the issue goes back to imbuing trust into the technological system. If you sign onto the system, you can trust it because of some reason. And I guess if people know the users, they'll trust it. But are there other ways to imbue it with that level of trust?
Yeah, I think trust is built through the relationships, obviously. And then I think really as an industry, telemedicine, as you've seen the recent reports of overprescription of antibiotics or different quality questions, we really as an industry have to match that. We have to be transparent that we not only have a cool technology, but that we're offering the quality of care that folks need and that they can trust that the care that they're going to get is on par with what they get in person or that guidance. So I think you're right. I think technology is a barrier always for some. Especially we are eager to reach the underserved population and others that can't have broadband and internet and creating a simple solution. But if you look at the data, patients want this and patients are using smartphones and using technology. So now it's what's missing. And we feel like as we can drive quality and people can feel comfortable with the care that they're receiving, that it's as good or better than what they can get elsewhere, then that's a real key driver.
So tell me more detail about how Anytime Pediatrics puts that trust into the system. How do you have it set up that it puts trust or gives trust to the user?
Yeah, I think that's the unique part of our technology. What we've really focused on is really how to operationalize telemedicine or really how to create the workflows that match what the patient needs and what the provider needs. So our unique secret sauce, as you would say, is kind of a unique and becoming more complex call routing system. So that when the patient requests a visit, it's first going to look for that provider that they know and trust, or it's going to be routed by their provider in the technology to care that their provider trusts. So you can imagine a parent coming on after hours and they're worried about their child and they request a visit. It's going to look for Dr. Smith, who's their pediatrician, but they also know if Dr. Smith's not available, it's going to look for one of his partners that's on call, or it's going to be routed to a local pediatric urgent care or hospital that he knows and trusts. So when they go online, they're going to know that they're going to see somebody that they can trust the care and advice that they receive.
So the primary care physician is lining up all the other doctors that they will see. It's not like I just go on the web randomly, find a telemedicine package and sign up and start talking to somebody on the other side. My primary care doctor has put trust in the system because they've lined up their network to be a part of this.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal would be to drive it right through there. So again, and if you need a sick visit, you might go see somebody else. We're also having interest from behavioral health, from nutrition, from lactation consulting. So each of these kind of levers can be pulled so that the pediatrician can help you either see them or see that trusted partner that they have that can help you with the concern that you have. So our real goal is to match that convenience that technology offers, but also tie that to the quality of care and the trust that folks are looking for.
Great. Well, in the last few minutes that we have here today, what else should we cover that we haven't?
Well, I think the key thing from an investor standpoint from our side is we're really focused on pediatrics as our primary product. We are certainly incorporated as Anytime Telehealth, and we see the opportunity for the unique call routing that is patent pending that really can be utilized to help be the connector, as we've said. We use a lot of pediatric examples, but certainly you can imagine the examples across any part of the healthcare industry. And we see a lot of traction and interest from folks who really want patients to be connected to them and not connected elsewhere. So we're excited about the traction we're seeing not only in pediatrics and in urgent cares and in hospitals, but I think insurance conversations are going quite well as they see the need as well to keep kids more patients in network to help lower costs and really begin to focus on what the solution is and not just trying to quickly put a Band-Aid on a problem. So again, we appreciate your help, Paul, and are thankful for 10 Capital getting the word out because we feel like we have a unique offering that can really impact healthcare in a positive way.
Well, that's great. How best for the listeners to get back in touch with you?
They're certainly welcome to email me at mick.connors@anytimepediatrics.com. That's probably the simplest way to get a hold of me, or they can certainly come through 10 Capital and reach us that way. We'd love to share any kind of information that they would like and happy to have further conversations.
Great. Well, we'll put that in the show notes and appreciate your taking time to share that with us today and hope to have you back for a follow-up soon.
Thank you very much, Hall, for the time and appreciate your help.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Paul T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early-stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.